the $34 trillion U.S.A. problem. At a time when government spending is already being scrutinized, the U.S. national debt reached a key milestone when it surpassed $34 trillion for the first time. As of Friday afternoon, the U.S. owed its debtors $34 trillion, according to newly released figures from the Treasury Department. The national debt is a measure of this amount. In contrast, the national debt was roughly $907 billion 4 decades ago. The CEO of the Peter G. Peterson Foundation, which promotes fiscal sustainability, Michael Peterson, stated, "We are beginning a new year, but our national debt remains on the same damaging and unsustainable path. The historic debt level coincides with a race in Congress to complete necessary budget bills in order to avert a government shutdown. The Congressional Budget Office's most recent projections indicate that the size of the national debt will almost double over the next 3 decades. The national debt increased to around 97% of GDP by the end of 2022. By the end of 2053, that percentage is predicted by current law to soar to 181%, a debt load that will far beyond any previous record." Maya Magunis, president of the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, stated, "America just cannot stop borrowing, even though our level of debt is dangerous for both our economy and for national security. The fact that the cost of servicing the national debt has increased due to the increase in interest rates over the last 18 months is even more concerning. This is due to the fact that the federal government's borrowing costs associated with its debt will climb in tandem with interest rates. In fact, the CRFB projects that over the next 3 decades, interest payments on the national debt would increase at the quickest rate of any component of the federal budget. From roughly $475 billion in the fiscal year 2022 to an astounding $1.4 trillion in 2032, payments are predicted to quadruple. Interest payments are expected to increase to $5.4 trillion by 2053. That is more than the United States spends on Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and all other obligatory and discretionary spending programs combined. To put things into perspective, if we add to all this that the members of the BRICS, but especially China, Russia, India, and Saudi Arabia, will trade without dependence on the US dollar, then things are indeed very difficult for the US economy. America is reminiscent of a soldier who has to face many enemies who are approaching him, but are running out of ammunition. The astrological profile of the year does not give much room for optimistic predictions, but the question is how much this mess of the American economy will drag down other Western countries. And unfortunately, in these kinds of predictions, as the Americans say, "It's not my first rodeo." Sark Neptune, the planet of lies, illusion, and deception, is opposite the natal sun of the United States, which indicates a lack of realism and loss of reality, and goes to meet North Node and Mars, and indicates it, the axis of secret and clandestine relationships and contacts with impostors, dreams karmic, dreams prophetic, secret contacts, matters through diseases that cannot be easily diagnosed, behind-the-scenes contacts and consultations. See also the axis of infections and deterrence, the dumbing down of action, deterrence, infections, a disaster, a rejection. Drugs or alcohol lure me in, addiction, the ability to hide one's nerves and anger. The point is that in America, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. As of June 13, 2024, Sark Saturn equals natal Mars, and that speaks of mourning and slowing down, but it passes over MCAS and MCPL, and that speaks of MCAS revolt. professional difficulties and setbacks, termination and rupture in a partnership, a separation. MC, PL and SSA, delaying something deliberately, obstacles. The problems don't stop here. Many people believe that economics and money are a matter of psychology. I'm not so sure about that. But as the ancient Greeks said of the two brothers, sleep and death, I can say with great certainty that economics and politics are almost identical concepts with enormous interplay. Transit Chronos equals Neptune, and that speaks for the axis of diplomacy, a great deception. Superiors having a hard time in their departments, the revision, the annulment of orders and laws, one who operates undercover, affront, confusing legal frameworks, naval officer, an incompetent employer or leader. I sense that Trump's forensic anointment will have many legal hurdles and draw risks to the coherence of the U.S.A.